Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, it's about 10 past 3 a.m. in the morning in Australia, and I thought, well, what better time to do a little video about Amityville? Now, what motivated me, aside from the time, you all know the significance of the time, was I was just looking at a streaming site and I saw a random Amityville movie, Amityville Moon, which is apparently about a werewolf. I'm like, oh my god, is that where we've gotten to now? Are we just sticking the name Amityville in front of anything? Any generic horror movie and like trying to get like the brand recognition or something? It's gotten really bad. I noticed this a little while ago, and then I started to think about the actual Amityville chronology and the Amityville films and all the ones they're making. I mean, my god, there are 10 films altogether, so let's just go through those. The original chronology was Amityville 2, of course, then the Amityville Horror, Amityville 3D, Amityville 4, The Evil Escapes, Amityville Curse, Amityville It's About Time, Amityville The Next Generation, Amityville Dollhouse, and then technically the remake is next, which was done in 2005, and then Amityville The Awakening was a meta film, which was done in 2017, and that actually doesn't acknowledge any of the other films as being real. There are actually films in that universe, and this film is the only real film, which I guess was one way to reboot the series and do it all over again, which I think is what they're planning to do. They had a good budget. They built a almost life-size recreation of the house, which was accurate. They had some good actresses, like Rachel Taylor and so forth. But unfortunately, it was made by Harvey Weinstein and it was released just after his fall, and it made it made like no money. It was like, I know it was less than $1 million. I don't think it was in the tens of thousands. I don't know, it made no money, basically. It got no release, it made no money. And by no release, I mean like a couple of very, very polite theatres somewhere that screened the film, and that's about it. Now, unfortunately, the rest of the films really have nothing to do with the other films. They have nothing to do with the series other than just exploiting the brand and the title. And there's a lot of them. There's the Amityville Haunting in 2011, the Amityville Asylum in 2013, Amityville Death House in 2015, the Amityville Playhouse, aka Amityville Theatre in 2015, the Amityville Vanishing Point 2016, the Amityville Legacy, aka Amityville Toolbox 2016, the Amityville Terror 2016, Amityville No Escape 2016, Amityville Evil Never Dies, aka Amityville Clown House 2017, Amityville Exorcism 2017, Against the Night, aka Amityville Prison. I'm guessing it was originally called Against the Night and they just said, let's call it Amityville Prison 2017, Amityville Mount Mystery Road 2018, Amityville Murders 2018, Amityville Island 2020, Amityville, really? This can't be a real film, it must be porn. Amityville Vibrator. Okay, I don't know how that even got in there. Witches of Amityville, aka Witches of Amityville Academy, aka Amityville Witches. The Amityville Harvest, and the Amityville Poltergeist, which are all 2020, and Amityville Vampire. And then Amityville Moon, which I guess is another 2021 one, which isn't in this list. I was just going through an article that actually listed the films, the new ones, because I didn't know and I did not want to try and research them all separately. I'm just really surprised that, I'm not surprised. George Lutz, he died in 2006. Kathy died a few years before him. He protected the rights and the rights to his story and his family's depiction and legacy fairly harshly. He was involved in the book. He had a little bit of involvement, I think, in the film, but not much. He was kind of okay with the film. They had sort of acknowledged that the film differed from the book and the book differed from real life, both of which were done for the sake of the story and so forth. And they never really failed to acknowledge that. And they did always sort of keep their story a little bit separate from the characters' stories, I guess. And a lot of people criticised them because what was in the book wasn't exactly what was in their story of real life, and what was in the film wasn't exactly what was in the book and their story of real life, and that's because that's how it was done. The author indulged a little bit, and the writer of the film indulged a little bit, and this is how it went. But he always at least didn't allow people to just make reboots and make new films, and this is why. And it's 3:15 a.m. now, and I'm just really surprised, like I said, but not surprised that it's gone this far though. I thought once he passed, it would allow, because that's what I meant to say, once they made the remake, because the remake was just hugely inaccurate, and if I was George, I'd be pretty offended too by the things they had his character do, which they were claiming was based on real life, which would imply that he did these things, like, I'm not going to go into it, but I think they wanted to make another Amityville film, they wanted to make a sequel to the remake, and since he was so opposed to the remake, he was basically challenging that in court, or wasn't given permission. It wasn't happening. There were legal issues, and he wanted to make his own film and write it himself and basically make it not a documentary but just a real telling of what happened in the house. And that was apparently in some level of production at some time, but it didn't happen. He died. And then once he was gone and people realised, oh, there's no one protecting this brand, there's no one who can basically defend it, there's no one who's going to sue you basically if you stick Amityville on your horror film and pretend it's something to do with the original film and try and get some brand recognition and get people to watch it just because of the namesake and the legacy. Boom, here we go. Like you'll notice, all these films happen after 2015. 2006. So yeah, I mean, and I didn't even realise how many were made. I sort of saw that list and it did look long. I thought it included all the Amityville films, including the original ones, and there's 10 of them. 8 in the original chronology, and then there's the remake, and then the sort of, meta film. But these are just, as I read them out, these are just the knockoff ones. The brand exploitation films. The exploitation Amityville films, I guess. I don't know what to call them. But how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 films in 10 years. So that's basically 2 films a year. Some of these films were actually made with the intention of being an Amityville film, and they have, the location and the history mentioned and referenced. Some are actually a little bit based on the events. The rest are just totally unrelated, except somehow the name or the location or some connection. That's it. Which, in defense of these films, the later Amityville straight-to-video films like Dollhouse and A New Generation and It's About Time, they didn't have a huge connection, but they were official and they did have a connection. Whereas these, some of them, like, I swear to God, like, you can see the name changes between, what was a really obvious one, Against the Night. It wasn't even, you just know they just had a film about a prison and they said, let's call it the Amityville prison because people watch it then. And it's true, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it to see if it actually has anything to do with the show. They got me. They've probably got all of us. That's why they're doing this. And it's annoying and it sucks because a couple of these films are related to Amityville and they're at least interesting to see how someone else sort of wants to look at them or deal with it or continue the story or write some element of the story. But the rest are just exploitation films. And I've watched a couple which are absolutely horrifically cringeworthy. I still haven't watched, a couple of them I still haven't watched though. I've actually got good copies of them, but some of them are really bad. I think Vanishing Point was the worst one. I think that was the worst one. It looked like it was made by students and it's just beyond ridiculous, and it's not even, some of these are probably decent horror films, they just have nothing to do with Amityville, and just very cheap, and they're just desperately trying to get someone to watch them because they can't afford, budget and marketing. So let's just, use a name like Amityville. But yeah, I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. I'm just really, really, it's weird, like I said, I'm shocked that this many films have come out and they're just slapping the name on anything. But at the same time, I knew this was coming when George died, so I'm not surprised. But I guess just how many that they've done. But I guess when it's open season, just anyone, can slap the name on a film and release it. I guess what's stopping people? So I'm curious. I'm going to do some research and work out how many of these films actually have anything to do with the series. And I might do a little video on that and maybe do a little bit of review just to help some people navigate through this as I'm trying to do now. Might save some people some time. Anything I can do to help humanity. I'm going to go. Bye.